There's some magnificent pictures in this other book here.
Those real sharp ones are probably made by Slim Gregory.
He was a photographer?
Yeah, that's the one that he was a flyer also.
The sharper.
Better lens.
What was his main job then? Flyer?
He was a sort of a freelance aerial photographer.
Oh, I see.
He worked for newspapers, radio stations, and everybody.
Who's Joe Albers?
He was a Plymouth dealer in Carthage, Ohio. He was also at that time commander of the local American Legion post. We put on a couple of shows there under their sponsorship. So he was our key man to get parade permits and everything else we needed in that town.
Did the wives usually travel with the group?
Oh, some of them. They weren't always there, but they would be there some of the time. Depend on the schedule. In fair season, when we were in a different town every day, why, there weren't many of them.
Did they want to come?
Well, it was too hard a life. In and out of a hotel the same day, a new town every day, and work all day and drive all night. A little of that and you get tired of it.
Did girlfriends travel too?
No, there were no girlfriends. They didn't need to travel. They picked them up where they wanted them. No point in hauling them around.
There's a picture here of the car that was rolled 57 times.
Yeah. It actually rolled more than that. What they mean is it appeared in 57 rollovers. Sometimes it roll over 4 times in one rollover.
It doesn't really look too bad.
Well, that's the way they picked it up off the track. Now, if they were going to use it the following week, they would jack that body out and fix it all up. But they had an auto show going on in Carthage, and Joe Albers wanted to put it on exhibition. And they built a big stand to hold it, covered it with red velvet. We picked that oily, greasy, dirty car up with a crane, just the way it came off the track, and set it on top of that stand. That's JoJo holding a paintbrush.
Here's Crooks.
Little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, now Lucky Lot knows him. He calls him Batter Crooks.
What was his first name?
I don't remember. He was a motorcycle rider.
There's a picture here with 2 clowns. Oh, Abe. You said one was Abe?
The fat one is Abe. The skinny one is probably Mickey.
Or a guy named Shipley?
Yeah. I don't remember what his first name was.
Earl?
Earl Shipley, the clown, yeah. Abe Rademacher's the heavy-set guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys in this picture. There's you, a guy named Marcus.
Yeah, that's the only Jew who was ever in a Daredevil show that I know of.
What was his whole name?
Oh, something like Fishbein or something like that, some Jew name. He was out of Brooklyn, New York, dodging a fraternity rap, I think.
And then it says Crooks and Whitey Reese.
Wade Reese, he was out of Philadelphia.
George Madsen.
Yeah, he was out of Philadelphia too, I think.
And then there's Buddy.
Toomey. He was from that area somewhere.
Was Buddy his real name?
I don't know, that's all I ever heard.
And Murphy.
Murphy,
Henry.
I don't know him.
Bob Maynard.
Bob Maynard, or Bob May.
And J.V.
Next to Lynch, May was the most skillful driver.
As far as setting it down.
Being able to handle a car, doing a smooth job.
This J.V. Durham, what's J.V. stand for?
I never knew. All anybody ever called him was J.V. He was a good mechanic.
How come they had two clowns?
Well, we had two clowns because we had big crowds. We may have a clown at each end of the grandstand. Or one might have an off day or get sick or something. You were covered if you had two.
Did each unit have that many?
Each big unit, of which there were only two, really.
And a big unit meant how many?
Oh, maybe 20 vehicles that traveled.
What was Toomey's first name again?
Buddy.
There's a shot here. It says Buddy received cut in arm in this stunt.
Well, you can see it in the picture. Between his wrist and his elbow. You can also see why. See where his goggles are?
Yeah.
He didn't pull them down over his eyes. They were up on his head. He forgot to pull them down.
So
He was reaching for the goggles when he cut his arm.
It was cut on the glass?
Yeah.
Glass from where?
Oh, I don't know. The window, the front door, the windshield, who knows?
In that picture, the roof of the car is already missing.
Well, that doesn't protect you. That's just thin sheet metal.
So it had probably been ripped off in a previous show.
Or maybe the clown chopped the roof off as part of an act.
The summer that you took Patty on the road, who was that with?
The woman?
Your daughter Patty?
Yeah, little kid, 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's Patty.
Who were you with when she was traveling?
When she was driving.
When she was traveling with you?
With Lynch.
Oh, you were with Lynch. Oh, okay. There's a picture of her here with Teeter.
Yeah, we met Teeter in Memphis. Just accidentally.
That summer.
That summer. I was going through Memphis and so was he. So we stopped and talked for a while. Teeter always was trying to get me back with him. He liked to have me on that mic because he knew I wouldn't let the crowd get away from me.
Here's you driving a 1901 model Franklin.
Yeah, I drove it around that half-a-mile track and about killed me.
How come?
It drove so hard.
Oh.
You know how it steered? You turned that wheel and it wound up a chain. And that pulled the whole front axle back and forth like that. Like a kid's coaster wagon. Mechanically it ran all right, but gee whiz, that was something to steer.
Was there another little dog on the road besides Odin?
Well, we had Yorkie,
Little black dog
black dog with a white chest.
and a white paw?
I don't know. I didn't know whether we had a picture of Yorkie or not.
Oh.
Ross Lynch's wife had a bull terrier that was with us part of the time, or Boston Terrier, they called it.
What was that camera called that had the 3 lenses on it?
Well, the one I used mostly, except for sound, was a Victor. Victor Model 3. It had 5 speeds, and triple lens turret. And it would run 75 feet of film at one winding. And the sound camera was an RCA.
Where would the sound part of it be?
Well, you could use it as a single unit with a microphone built in the camera. No amplifier or anything. But we usually used an external battery-powered amplifier and it plugged into the camera.
There's a picture of a camera here with 2 great big metal boxes on either side.
Yeah, one's a battery case and the other one's the amplifier. Could I see that picture?
Sure. This is the, it's right here. Right, your thumb's almost on it. It's just off to the left a bit.
Oh, right here.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a 5x7 or 8x10 of me in that camera that's real good. I don't know where it is. It's around here somewhere. But you didn't have transistors in those days, and we didn't even have real tiny tubes like we later had for use in hearing aids and so on. The amplifier had tubes that were bigger than my thumb, same size as radio tubes. And we carried dry batteries, both for the plate and filament. And the amplifier gave you more control over your sound. And we could use a low impedance mic on a long wire, and you could control the sound a lot better. But you could just grab the camera and go if you were in a big hurry or something was happening, and you could do commentary on the built-in mic. Actually, the camera was better than it got credit for being. The galvanometer part of it was good. If they had designed a good amplifier for it and put an electric motor on it, they would have had something. When RCA gave it up, somebody bought the rights to it, put a 600-foot magazine on it to hold film, and a 12-volt electric motor to drive it. And they had a good camera, but it was no longer portable. Well,
Tell me the story about the dog in the restaurant.
oh, Jimmy and his dog. Well, the dog was always restless when Jimmy walked away from him. He wanted to go along. And Jimmy and his wife went in this real nice restaurant one time. They had the dog in the car with them, and the restaurant wasn't too busy, so Jimmy took the dog in with him. And of course, no dogs were allowed. but nobody is going to try to throw out a 145-pound dog. And the dog laid down under the table, which had a tablecloth draped over it. And Jim and his wife got their lunch and were eating it, and the dog was under the table. And after a bit, it got busy, and the waiter came over and asked if he could put a third person at their table. They said sure, they were very friendly. And he came over with some traveling salesman type or somebody. Fellow sit down, got his dinner. By the time he started to eat, the dog could smell that and wanted to see what was going on. And he laid his head on the guy's lap. His head was big as a pony's. And of course the guy pulled up the edge of the tablecloth to look, and he's looking that great big dog in the face. It really startled him. He jumped up and jerked the tablecloth, upset about half of everything on there. So they had quite a do over that dog. Of course, he didn't hurt anything. He was very friendly, but he sure scared the daylights out of that guy. If a little dog ran up to him and yapped and yapped and